Hey guys, it's Lazy and welcome back. Sorry I've been missing for the past few days, but I am now fully back. This time I want to showcase the alt leveling build, which is using Rake and Stomping Ground. This is going to be a full run showcase on my mercenary, and I can say that this build makes leveling super quick and easy. Speed leveling is especially important in PoE. Right now, when you get to the end game and you are bored of your main characters, you have currency to reroll, I would recommend that you choose a good speed leveling build to get your alt character much faster through the campaign to get to mapping, and arguably that's where the fun begins in PoE. So I want to make this video and I want to showcase a full run. Of course, watching me going through the campaign in 4 hours is pretty boring, so I have trimmed down the video, I have put commentary on, and I will cut out all the not important part. Most of this video will be sped up so we can go through all this stuff quickly. If you are just starting out, you will learn all the basics, and if you have been playing for several months now, you can still probably pick up some new tricks. There are something in here for everyone, so let's dive in and see how this build performs in the campaign. As per usual, timestamp will be in the description of this video. Alright, let's talk about Act 1. And when you reach town for the first time, the key is to be prepared, and that means you have to prepare all your leveling gears ahead of time. And this time, when you want to get to town, go to your stash and equip all the items. If you are organized, you will not waste any time searching for your gears, and you really don't want to be in town when you are trying to level fast. Next up, we'll have the skill gems. You'll love this part because it makes leveling a lot easier. With this setup, Rake only needs to be a level 3 skill gems, and you don't even need to level it up. It means that you can use these same skill gems across all the alts that you want to level. It is super convenient, right? You can skip pretty much all the early contents without any issues. Even if you don't have Rake, we have Disengage. When we pair that with Stomping Ground to deal a tons of damage from the start. This is mainly because we can equip those early game strength unique items that really boost our damage output. For the early part of the game, you want to use Whirling Slash with parry to move, and you can see I'm kind of doing the animation cancelling with Whirling Slash over here. Basically, you can use Disengage or Whirling Slash, it's up to you. If you want to go a little bit faster, I think you can go with Whirling Slash, but Disengage is completely fine. Make sure that you have Ingenuity slot into that as well. And you can see here, I am doing so much damage with Disengage. And that is just 1 Stomping Ground. Later on, when you get Rake, you get 3 Stomping Ground when you are doing the damage. So the damage will basically triple. Next up, we'll have the Grailwood area. And in here, you'll find basically 4 camps that always spawn in a random rectangle formations. And there's only 2 camps that we really care about. That is going to be the Tree of Souls with a waypoint and the waypoint in Green Tangle, and that's it. In here, I am pretty lucky that I'm able to find the Tree of Soul right away. But then now I have to basically head down or head up in a 45-degree angle to find the other landmark. Basically, we are fully decked out in twink leveling gear, and we don't need any extra skill or support gems. So we are only doing this to progress in the quest line and in the campaign. Many players will get caught up visiting all the 4 camps or killing the boss. It is totally unnecessary if you are leveling an alt character. I kind of messed up the pathing here a little bit. Doesn't really matter. I'm not doing this for like a speed run, for example. I'm just trying to get through the campaign as fast as I can on my alt. So in here, I should have just head forward, but I am somehow just decided to go back to this area and look for the other landmark. Again, it's a mistake, but you should try to head forward, maybe go up 45 degrees from the Red Vale area and look to get into the Red Vale as fast as possible. Again, we don't need to do any boss, we don't need to do the witch hut and all that stuff because we can buy the flask from Una anyway. So just by killing the straggler, you can level up quite quickly as well, and by the time you get to the Red Vale, you should be around level 5. I got here quite quickly because the pathing was actually pretty good, so I'm only level 4. But then In here, I put point into dexterity because you actually need dexterity to equip some of the dexterity gems. So you can run into the problem by missing some dexterity. So just put 1 point there so you can use that helmet that give a lot of strength in the early game. By level 5, usually I would swap to the Grey Mech anyway. So yeah, just put myself on D&D here. Missed that one divine trait, but that's fine because I'm trying to showcase here. I got no time to do any trading. Generally, in an area, it is very important for you to understand the layout. In the Red Vale, we have 3 obelisks of rust, and they will be shaped in like a triangle formations. It's not always, but most of the layout is like that. So just go around, try to look for 3 circle rust, get to the Rusted King as soon as possible, and you can move on from this area. And as you can see, we do a lot of damage in the early part of the game, so you are almost always going to 1 or 2 shot any boss. When you get to town, remember to buy the flask from Una, as usual. You want to upgrade your flask, so you can either pick it up or you can upgrade it, depends on what you want. I am now level 5, so I changed my helmet to Grey Mech and changed my weapons. Now we'll head over to the Tree of Soul and do the quest line to continue with the act. So just put in this spike here and you can dodge roll to save some time over here. Then we'll talk to Una and then we'll go back to town and we'll go to the green tangle. And yeah, we have to get all the waypoint previously, so you can pretty much skip all the walking at this part. And so yeah, talk to Una here. Then we'll go to the green tangle and Una will be here. Just summon her, talk to her, and you can respawn a checkpoint here to sometimes save the conversation and her singing. If you want to hear Una singing, then you can feel free to do so. At level 6, you want to use Rake and put all the support gems into Rake, and you can finally drop Walling Slash. You will now be using Rake to do the damage and Rake to travel as well. It's a little bit harder to travel in a tight and narrow corridor like this in the green tangle, so yeah, Rake in here is not really a good time. You can also keep disengage on your skill bar, and this way you can animation cancel with the disengage as well by the end of the Rake animations, and that could save you sometimes. But yeah, this area is just like a maze. I'm not sure if there's any layout here, but as you get to the druid, you can respawn a checkpoint, but because our build is very strong, we just 2-shot him and move on. So we keep spinning around, and until you get to the part where you start to see some coffin, you know you are in the right directions, and you headed into the Cemetery of the Eternals. For this particular area, you need to understand that most of this area is completely random, and that's what I've learned watching a lot of speedrunners. And the strategy here is pretty straightforward. I just hug the wall, pick a side to travel around until you find both of the tomes, and it's all about dealing with the randomness efficiently. If you're lucky, you can find both tomes next to each other, or you might find them very quickly because you picked the correct side. This one, I actually picked the wrong side, so I have to travel all the way around to find both of the tomes. It kind of happens to everyone, so it is RNG and it can save or add you minutes in your runs. Make sure that when you do find one tomes, you want to look for the other tome as well before going into any of them. This way, whenever you are done with the boss, you can quickly go out and TP to another checkpoint. No backtracking is needed. Just efficiently move between objectives. The layout might be random, but your approach doesn't have to be. So, in each of these tomes, the layout are also completely random in my opinions, and it could make or break a run if you are doing speedrun. For example, I'm just trying to get through the levelings process as fast as I can, so it doesn't really matter to me. But I think in here I also have to basically go through the whole tome, and usually I'm pretty good in the Tome of the Consort, but this time I did have to go through the whole tome, so that was pretty bad. I do have to say that with the Rake movement, it is a lot better and a lot easier for me to do, and it's also a pretty good area to catch up in EXP as well. So yeah, move over here, go to back to the checkpoint, and I have to basically use Rake to move all the way back to one of the corner that I might have missed. I was pretty frustrated at this point, but yeah, let me just skip to the boss so you don't have to go through the whole thing here. Basically, it's about 4 minutes just in the tome and it's incredibly slow. So you can see that you don't really need to be a speed runner. I'm completely like a casual when it comes to speed running, and I can still finish the whole campaign in under 5 hours. So just to say about a little bit about this build, right? So again, once you're out, go to the checkpoint and go straight to the Draven tome. And usually this tome is worse. I have multiple run where I have to also explore the whole tome, but this time I got pretty lucky. For area like this, just use your instinct. I don't think there's a way to make this any faster. There's some trick that you can use with widescreen and you can recognize the Draven arena, the tie of the arena. But otherwise, I'll say just get lucky. Like me here, I just stumble upon the Draven arena very quickly once I get into the tome, and I don't even need to do any of the trick that I just mentioned. Just 1 or 2 tap the boss and then you can move on to fight Luckland. Take the portal, go back, and you can go back to the checkpoint. When you click on the gate, you can actually respawn a checkpoint that will save you a few seconds as well, so you don't have to go through the whole animations. In here, when you kill Luckland, he does drop the count ring, but you don't have to pick it up. And that way you can skip a whole conversation that you have to have when the Una is reviving the Hooded One. The hunting ground area is a lot similar to how you navigate the cemetery of the Eternals. All you need to do is to pick a side, hug the wall, and go around until you have all the checkpoint needed. So we are going to the Crow Bell, we are going to the checkpoint that leads into Phraython for the spirits, and then we are going to the Offham farmland. For the Crow Bell fight, I actually run into a bug that if you are doing too much damage to the Crow Bell, he will bug out and he will never progress. So you can kind of see here that I do, supposedly by this time, he need to transform and move on, but somehow he just keep raging and there's no way to basically go on to the next phase. So if you are doing too much damage, this is what's going to happen. And you can kind of see how tanky we are right here. And at this point, all you need to do is you're just gonna have to reset the fight. So respawn a checkpoint here, we'll go back in and we'll go fight him, but this time make sure that you don't do too much damage to him. So just 1 or 2 tap over here and wait for him to travel to the next area, and then you will also need to wait here and just do enough damage. So just maybe 1 tap, wait for him to enrage, take up the bell, and then you can finish this fight. A lot of people have actually sent me a message that's saying this build that they cannot progress because they got this bug, and I didn't really know it exists until this run. Again, doing too much damage can be a problem. But yeah, after this, just need to continue hugging a wall. We are looking for the Phraython area and we are looking for the Offham farmland. If you see a road, most likely you can find the Offham farmland. So just need to go to another corner as well to look for the Phraython area, and then you can move on. Once you find the checkpoint to the Phraython area, you don't actually have to head into the zone, but just need to find the checkpoint and you can go back to Offham farmland. We'll go back to the hunting ground area and we'll TP to the Phraython area a little bit later. For here, just look for the Una loot. The layout is quite simple. As soon as you head in and you see that your route is blocked by any sort of cart, basically just head down this way and try to turn left or right depending on the layout. Go back to the area where the cart was blocking. In here, you will be able to find Una Hut, and inside you will find Una Loot, which is going to give you 2 passive points. After picking this up, you don't have to head back, but you can head straight down, and from Una Hut, just go straight in the line until you see some wall that block your route, and then you can go around that, and you will head into Ockham Village. Before going further in Occam Village, you want to head back to town and talk to Una. And basically, this is one of the few times you go back to town to talk to Una, so you want to make sure that you also grab the flask from her. So the only thing we need to buy is flask pretty much for the whole campaign. Upgrade your flask, get better flask, it's very important. At this point, you don't really need to spec into anything, just follow the passive points on the written guide. Basically, we are still putting everything in strength. Now we'll go back to hunting ground and then we'll use the checkpoint to go into the Freythorn area. And this is another zone where it's kind of random. RNG can kind of mess with you. You just need to pick a side, follow pretty much the wall and follow one side until you find all the checkpoint of the ritual, and then you'll fight the King of the Mist. At this point, our build is still very strong. Again, everything is spec into strength and you will 1 or 2 shot the King of Mist without much issues. Use my level for reference here. I am level 11 at this point, and after killing King of the Mist, we are going to take Herald of Ash as our first aura and then go back to town here. You can talk to Finn and you are going to get the Sapphire Charm, which is going to help a little bit with fighting Count Geonor because he does a lot of cold damage. It shouldn't be a problem at all because you will 1 or 2 shot him anyway at this point because our build is still very strong. At level 11, you can also equip the Wanderlust and also the Amulet if you forget. Movement speed doesn't really help too much with our build because the way we move is we use Rake and parry anyway, so rarely that you will find yourself having to actually buck. By this point, the mana shouldn't be an issue at all, and you kind of see that I don't really have mana issue before. This is because we are using the Glow Swarm Ring, which refill our mana potion over time, and if you are not smashing your mana potions, you are not going to run out of mana at all. So just get used to it, and roughly around this point, 1 mana potion will refill all your mana, and that is pretty much all you need because we do not level up Rake, and Rake is still level 3, so it is going to be very easy to keep up with the mana costs. At this point, not much to say here, beside that we are going to finish the rest of Act 1 by just going through the map. There's nothing more to equip, there's no power spike. We don't really need to head back to town anymore, and once you get to Manor Rampart, this area is like an U-shape. So you go down, you will go to one of the side, and then you will head up, and then you will finish this area and head to the next area. It's important to note that you should only pretty much go through the area at this point. You're not trying to stop and kill any mobs. Rake will do that by default, so you will be at least level 13 by this point if you are moving with Rake, and Rake will leap Stomping Ground, or Rake will be able to finish a lot of monster pack with still 1 or 2 shot ray monster at this point. Yeah. Once you are in the manor, use Rake, go through everything. The layout of this part I'm not too familiar with, but with Rake we are able to traverse this area pretty fast, so just go through them and you will kill all the monster that you find along the way with Herald of Ash and Rake. Then by the time that you reach Count Geonor, you should be at least level 14. Usually level 14 is a pretty good breakpoint for a lot of build because by level 14 you get access to the level 5 skill gems. However, for our build we are only using Rake and we do not need to swap anything related to our skill point, so we don't need to worry about the breakpoint too much. Remember to go in here and kill Candlemas as well. He's on the first floor of the manor. After you kill Candlemas, all you need to do is go to Count Geonor and finish Act 1. Not much to say here, so I'm going to speed up the footage all the way up until Count Geonor. Now is a good time to kind of talk about how this build performing in Act 1, and it is probably the strongest point for this particular build just because of how the strengths and attribute scaling in Act 1. This build will start falling up starting from Act 2 if you do not have all the leveling unique or gear and you don't know how this build actually scale. So the way to scale this is with scaling strength, and if you are following the build guide, you will have enough damage for Act 2 all the way up until Act 6. I will make sure to go over all the power spike that you can have throughout the campaign, make sure that you have a smooth experience. But with that, let's showcase the Act 1 boss and see how the fight goes. I'll keep this at normal speed so you can see the damage that we are doing. Again, extremely strong for Act 1. You should not have any problem at all if you are following this build guy. And let me just quickly skip over this part. And you can kind of see that we will be able to stun the boss very quickly, and he will not be able to go into intermission as well, which is going to save you a lot of time. Right after killing the boss, you can open a portal, go straight back to town, talk to the Hooded One, go straight into Act 2, and you can skip the long conversations of the Hooded One and the boss. Keeping the same momentum here, you want to be around level 14 by the time that you start Act 2. By the end of Act 2, you want to be around level 31 by the time that you fight the boss. If you're not level 31 by the time that you fight the boss, you might felt that you lack a lot of damage. This is because of the companion that we get at level 31, so it is a very important breakpoint. For this particular showcase and run, I purposely did not take Inspiring Ally, which is a very strong companion node which give us a tons of generic damage. I want to do it so I can showcase that this actually work with or without, and you don't really have your damage fall off by Act 2 or even the later act, which I did not take Inspiring Ally all the way up until Act 5 Cruel, which right after I take that node, you will see I get a tons of more damage from the Rake and Stomping Ground combo. But anyway, for this area, just kind of follow the map, pick a side, hug the side, and follow all the way until you see a small road that is going to lead you to the boss of this area. So this one right here. At this point, you are still very tanky. You should be able to go in, just face tank the boss, kill everything in this area without any issues. After killing the boss, you are going to portal back to town and then continue on with the campaign. We are very close to level 16 now, which is when you get to use Sky Splitter, and it is our next power breakpoint. So what you do is you are going back to town, talk to the Asala, and then you go to your stash and grab all the leveling unique that you will be equipping. We'll have Skysliver is the most important one, and then we'll use Lochtonial's Keth. We'll have Titanrot, Silverthorn. And by the time that you are level 30, you also get to wear Black Sun Crest and Trample Toe as well. Mountain Quarry is going to be the first zone of Act 2 that you will need to kind of go through. There's nothing special about this zone. It's just very big area that you have to kind of go through yourself. There's no special tips or tricks on the layout, so I'm just going to kind of skip through this zone. Just remember that usually by this time and by this zone, you will be able to get to level 16. So as soon as you get to level 16, you want to change your weapons to Skysliver and your glove to the Lochtonial's Keth, which is going to give you a tons of attack speed, and you will quickly see how much faster you are going through the zone with this combo at level 16. The next zone is going to be Mountain Mine. Again, nothing too special here. We have a boss near the end. She is not too difficult at this point because we still do a lot of damage. You should be able to finish her off before she do her bombing attack, which is probably not going to one-shot you anyway because we have a lot of life and ES. After finishing the boss, talk to the Defector and open the portal and go back to the caravan. In here, you will talk to the Defector and the Asala one more time, and then you will take the bolt to another zone. We also need to check the vendor as well. Level 16 is where you get the next breakpoint for the flask, and you want to always upgrade your flask, and it is the only thing you want to buy in the shop. The next zone is going to be the Trader Passage, and this is where you get your first ascendancy point. If you go up and fight Babala, you should be able to get a coin, and then you use that coin to go to the Trial of Sekima. However, for this particular build or leveling guy, I am not going to do the Trial of Sekima because I want to level this as a base class, and I don't want to have any skill power from the ascendancies. This zone is also kind of random. You just kind of go up, up, up until you find the stairs and go up the stair. And by the time that you find the stair, Usually there's only 2 paths to go, one to Balbala and the other part to the Hellenic Gate. So at this point, just pick a random direction, whether it's left or right. For me, I got lucky, so I got all the way to the Hellenic Gate here. This is another standard zone. You just kind of have to go through everything. Summon the Asala here. When you are doing this Asala thing, make sure that you kind of have to wait for her to finish spinning this thing around, or she will get stuck behind and she will not go to the next gate. So just be careful there. If you're going too fast, it's kind of annoying, but that's how it is. Go all the way to the end, go through the 3 gates, and you will be able to fight Jamanra. And he's not really hard, just face tanking everything he does, and you will still be very strong at this point because you just make the switch over to Skysliver. It is very strong for this build, and it can be the endgame weapons, and you can use it all the way to level 60. After the boss fight, you are going back to the caravan, and you're going to talk to Asala. From here, we are going to be given the choices to go to 3 zones: Mastodon Badland, the Valley of the Titan, and Keth. Now, we are going to the Mastodon Badland first. This is because going to Mastodon Badland, we are going to make this area at the lowest level. So of only 21 when you are completing this, 21 to 22. And the next zone that you travel to, it will have a higher level. This is important because Mastodon Badland have really bad density, and also the monster here are pretty hard to fight. It's not really hard for this build per se, but it's still pretty hard, and you don't really want to farm EXP in here. So for this zone, just kind of travel straight down diagonally and go to the next zone, which is the Bone Pits. And in here, you will be farming a little bit. I say farming, but it's depending on your luck. You might be able to find the relics before you reach the boss. So just try to kill some struggling monster along the way while you're trying to go to the boss of this zone. But if you can't find the relics, you are going to have to go back and fight some monster. So to pick up the relic, because it's not really like the part of a main quest line or anything. You can skip this if you don't want to fight the monster, but eventually you have to come back to it anyway, so might as well do it here. In this particular run, I did not find the relics, so I have to kill the boss, and then I have to go back out, go back to kill the monster and farm the relics. But as soon as you get it, we can move on to the next zone, which is going to be Valley of the Titans. So right here at level 20, I can equip Titanrot, and you should do so right away. Doing that at the early level is going to give you a massive amount of armor. You can kind of see my armor over here, 71% physical damage reduction, which means we are going to take almost 0 damage from monster at this level. So we are extremely tanky the moment we put this on, and it would only fall off much later on as we get to the later act. So the next zone we are going to is going to be Valley of the Titan. And by this time that you should be a little bit under level. So for example, right here, I am level 20 and I'm about 3 level behind the zone. This is completely normal because when we are trying to speed leveling and we are trying to go through the zone as fast as we can, it is pretty normal to be under level, and it is fine because we will catch up in level in Keth area. Not much to say here. We are going around the area trying to pick up all the 3 sigils, and we have to pick up the waypoint here as well, so we can come back and put in the relics later. One thing to keep in mind that these layout always have a lot of small area that leads to the zone where you think there might not be anything here. So the best way to do it, I'll go through this kind of zone, is to always choose a wall, and then you are going to find the direction that you want to go to, hug a wall, and just travel along the wall. This way you are not missing anything, because I think some of these layouts are purposely designed to bait you to make you waste time. So sometimes for the last sigil, it does not have to be in one of the wall, but it can be inside one of these canyon here. It is okay if you don't find the ancient seal fast, because you can still use this time to kind of catch up in level. we should always be behind in level, so fighting this monster will give us plenty of experience. But yeah, we are going to find the last seal and then use the checkpoint to travel into the Titan Grotto. And this area itself is also pretty hard area. There's not really any tips I can give you, but besides just use your instinct to go down this route. Just follow the brick road and you can, if you find a stair leading down, you are in the right direction, so there's that. Also use this zone to kind of catch up in level. The density here is not great, but we are 3 level down, so getting some experience here is pretty good as well, so don't be discouraged if you have to go back and forth too much. The boss fight is also quite simple. At this point, our damage is still pretty good. You want to stand exactly over here and spam your Rake so you don't have to move. There's like a invisible wall over here that you can just stand here and do the damage, making the fight a lot easier. After this, we are heading to Keth, and it is going to be the last zone because it's a great place to farm some EXP. Do what you need to do in town. If you are at level 23 by now, you can upgrade your flask, but if not, your flask is still likely to be the same as level 16. Use this time to clean up your inventory, take a rest, take a break, but otherwise you can move on to the next area, which is going to be Keth. As soon as you get to Keth, you are going to be in a level 25 zone, and it is kind of important for you to not fall too far behind in EXP. Not just because you are weaker than the monster, but also there's a EXP penalty even if you are falling too far behind. So if you are way under level in a zone, the monster will give you less experience. And if you are too far ahead of the zone, the monster also give you less experience. Which is also the main reason why we are doing the Keth area last. This is because this area have great density, and there are a lot of monsters, and the monster is quite easy and group up to deal with, which means we are going to have a pretty good time in catching up experience. So don't be discouraged if you don't know the layout of this zone, as we are going to almost full clear this area anyway. We need to do 2 things. We are going to kill the priest to give us the book of specialization, which are going to give us 2 skill points. And then we are going to pick up the relics. But yeah, as soon as you get to this checkpoint, if you haven't found those 2 items, we are going to take the checkpoint back to the beginning, and you can see I hit level 23 over here, which is a pretty good spot to be in. And let me skip to the mini boss fight. So the early point I still allocate all the way into strength. Strength is how we do our damage. You can kind of see the damage start falling off a little bit here. We are not one-shotting, two-shotting the boss anymore, and it is completely fine. By the time that we get to level 31, we are going to get a huge boost to our power, which I'll go over a little bit later before we fight the last boss of Act 2. This is where you also get your next flask upgrade, which is level 23. So just if you haven't picked them up earlier in the town, make sure you go back and pick them up. It is pretty important for you to pick up a really good life flask because we are strength stacking, and you can see we have a lot of life, and we are using Titanrot, so we don't have any innate life regens, which is going to be pretty important for us to be able to sustain our life by using the life flask. Once again, use this area to kind of catch up in level. This zone is level 27, which is precisely why we are doing it last. All this zone have a lot of monster and a lot of monster packs that will help you catch up a little bit in level. You don't have to farm the level here. There is a spot later in the act to do that. But then, yeah, we just head straight to the boss, and we should be able to fight this boss pretty easy as well. We can damage him from before he even spawns, stun him, and then kill him before he even do anything. Make sure you also picked up the quest item here, and then go through the portal and go back to the caravan. And from now on, it is pretty straightforward. The quest line requires you to go into the shower and then into the boss. So not much to say here. I think I'll just let the video play a little bit in high speed so you can kind of follow what I'm doing and not missing anything. In the shower, the zone is quite random. I think there's like a layout out there. I feel like they have changed a lot of the layout, so a lot of the layout that I know before have changed, so I kind of have a hard time navigating this area as well. But we are looking for the Fallen Descara to pick up the letters, and after you've done that, you can move on to the next zone, which is the Path of Mourning. The way I run this area is also the same to the other area. I always pick a path I want to follow, and I try my best to hug the wall as well. Usually this area is pretty rippy, but because we are so tanky and we have a lot of armor, we don't really have trouble with this area. And you can kind of see I hit level 25 over here, which is 3 level under the zone, and it is a pretty good spot to be in. As you get close to level 30, you will feel yourself getting a bit weaker. This is completely normal because you can see that I'm missing 1 intelligence here. This is because I'm using Grey Mech, and for every level that we get, Grey Mech will lower our strength, dexterity, intelligence by 1. This is purely from the item perspective, right? So for every level that you get, Grey Mech will actually have their stats lowered by 1. And this is why I mentioned in the written guide that by the time that you get to level 30, the item itself will start falling off too much, and you can replace that with Black Sun Crest. Once you find the final letter, you can go straight to the next zone. This is another zone that we really don't have to do anything here besides just try your best to go through the zone as fast as you can. So again, I'll go ahead and try to skip this. We are going to do 2 things in the Spire of the Shar. The first thing is to find the Garukan sister shrines, and you can click on that to get your lightning resistance. And the second thing is to kill the mini boss so we can move on with the quest line. This is the last boss of Act 2 that you will feel really weak against. This is because we haven't swapped to our level 31 setup yet, and very soon we'll be able to do so once we get to the next area, which is going to be Dreadnought. We are not doing a lot of damage, but we are also especially tanky, so you can kind of tank most of the boss ability and just tank and spike him down. Going back to town, I'm going to do a very quick refund my passive point to fix the intelligent problem, so I have access to my boots again. Not that much going on over here, but you can turn in your letter to Chambrine, which is going to give you the book. And finally, we'll go to the Valley of the Titans, and we will turn in our relics. It is a good time to take care of all these things before you head to the Dreadnought area, which is going to be the final area in Act 2, and it is one of the hardest area that you can find in the zone. We are going to catch up in EXP. We want to get to level 31. You don't really have to get to level 31, but it is going to make it a lot easier to fight the second boss, because by this time you should already have fallen off in damage by a lot. And if you want to kill the boss fast, you want to farm your way to level 31, which is not going to be a problem because this zone will scale all the way up to level 32. For the first zone, which is the Dreadnought, you can kind of just go through the area while trying your best to fight all the monsters here. I am now level 27, and which means I need 4 more level. There was a spot in Dreadnought area which you can respawn a checkpoint and fight a lot of the magic pack monster that give you a lot of experience, but I think that was patched, so we can no longer do that. Sometimes I really don't understand the decisions from GGG to fix these kind of small things. I understand that it is the speedrunner tactic, but it also can be a pretty good way for the casual to catch up in EXP as well. So for example, this was the spot and you could respawn a checkpoint, but now you cannot. The Vanguard is where we are going to fire EXP, and the monster level in this zone is 32, so it's a bit easier for you to get more XPs. The reason why we didn't do it and when they are doing the speedrun is because the monster in this area is actually quite rippy. It is not a problem for us because we are using the alt leveling build and we have a lot of armor. You will barely see me taking any sort of damage over here. I am now also level 28, so I only need to farm 3 more level. And this is me trying to go as fast as I can through the campaign. This is going to be a pretty good zone to catch up in EXP. So even if you don't kill any monster earlier and you try your best to go even faster than I am, it is still going to be a pretty good spot to be in if you want to farm EXP. We haven't really changed our gear too much. By the time that we get to level 30, we get a bit of upgrades, and by 31, we will unlock our full potential. So just finish the rest of the monster here and respawn a checkpoint, and then you will teleport back to this checkpoint here, and we will clear this whole way all over again. We are doing this until we get to level 31. But first, when you get to level 30, we are going to switch our helmets, our boots, and our shield. This is because we need some dexterity, which we'll do that a little bit later. Once we hit level 31, we're going back and we will respec a little bit, get enough dexterity to use our companions. Alright, so here we are. We are going to get level 31 here. And from here, I'm going back to town. So we go straight to the checkpoint before the boss. And then we're going to portal back to town to do some respec. The key thing to remember here is to get Inspiring Ally. Like I mentioned before, I am not going to get this in this run because otherwise you would think that my gear is too good, but I'm going to prove that you can even do this even if your gear is not good. All you need to do is to get to level 31 Respec to get at least 72 dexterity, and then you can use the companion, which you have captured before. You also put in Thunder Sleep and stuff like that, but the main thing here is at level 31 we do Respec to get just enough dexterity to use our companion, which is going to have the extra physical damage aura. And from now on, this is going to be the setup that you will use to clear the rest of the campaign. Again, I am not having the Inspiring Ally, which means that most of my jewels is actually useless because I have the companions deal more damage. So what you're seeing here on the screen is like a fraction of my power. The boss itself is not really hard at this point. You are still very tanky. You will be able to tank the boss, and you will one rotation the boss all the way to 50%, and then you will stun the boss and do the same thing. He's a little bit annoying here, just using the lightning spell. It's going to do a lot of damage at this point still, so you want to avoid them. But you're not going to get one shot by this boss anyway. Just try to do the mechanics. Beside that, not really much to say, but just tank and spank fight, very simple. We are going to finish the boss, talk to Asala, portal back to town, and go to Act 3. Coming into Act 3, you have the best setup possible right now, and the only thing you can add to the build is the amulet and the ring at higher levels and the jewels, which depending on your class and depending on the leveling skill trees that I provide, you can get up to 2 or 3 jewels up until this point. So you can have some more power from there. Each of those jewels should have at least 20% generic damage added to the build. If you are taking Inspiring Ally, I'll probably showcase this later in Act 5 when I actually take it. Again, this is just to showcase that this build can perform in Act 3 even when you don't have good gears. A lot of the area in Act 3 was changed. They was kind of nerfed, but the layout also changed, which is why I'm not really sure anymore on if it's for the better or not, but supposedly most of these area are shorter now and smaller as well. Don't forget to kill the monkey here. He give you 2 passive points, and then you can move on to Infested Baron. So in this area, you're doing the same thing. We are going to choose a wall to hug the wall and go around all the landmark that we want to visit. We want to get the waypoint here, and then we'll look for the checkpoint to go into the Azap Bog and the Chimera Wetland area. Once you go into the Chimera Wetland area, take the waypoint back to the Infested Barrens, and we are going to take the checkpoint and go finish the Azap Bog area, which is going to give you another 30 spirits, and you will be able to enable both Herald of Ash and your companion. This area is also quite annoying. It reminds me of the Freythorn area from Act 1. You just follow your instinct for this. Supposedly they make this area smaller and more square, but I find myself just running into the same problem as before, just having problem finding the mini boss in this area. So again, just try your best. And I don't really have any tips for the layout here, just explore everything. You can also kill stuff in this area as well, because We are supposedly to be under level at this point, and the monster in this area is level 36, which means it is going to be a pretty good time for you to catch up in levels. But yeah, go to the boss and kill the boss. There's nothing special about this boss. We are still very strong, and we just kind of tank and spank her down. You also roughly see that I have to explore the whole zone because the arena is actually in the middle, which is a bit of a problem to find. So if you the next time you go to this zone, just make sure that you look for any roads that lead you to the middle, because maybe she's there. After you finish the boss, you want to head back to town and check the vendor for any flask upgrades. You also want to talk to Servi and get the antidote charm as well. We will be using this to fight the Viper later, because Viper do a lot of poison damage, so having a good poison charm is really good at this point. After doing all the inventory management, and you want to head back to Chimera Wetland, and in this area you want to choose a wall and hug it and go, and hope you get lucky as well. I think that the layout usually go, and whenever you see a path that kind of lead into the center is where it's at, but I just keep forgetting it, and sometimes you just get unlucky and you have to find all the other landmarks before you get to find the boss, so it can be a problem. Nevertheless, I'm just gonna skip ahead here. As you can see me find the Chimera. We are going to tank and spank the Chimera down. We don't have enough damage to one rotation the Chimera, mainly because we don't have Inspiring Ally. But at this point, you should be able to get the note that give your companions your strength as well. So from this point on, your companion is going to be extremely tanky, because it's going to inherit all of your strength, which means it's not going to die very easy. And if your beast is pretty fast, you are going to almost always have the extra physical damage aura up around you. In here, you want to go around, grab at least 2 key. The first one, you will be using it to enter the Chamber of the Remnant, which you will fight Blackjaw, and he will drop an item that is going to give you 10 fire resistance. Under the tank and spank fight, you can tank all of the damage without much issues. After that, we can go to the next zone. In the Sanctum, there's actually a trick for you to get the medium flame core a lot easier. So you are just going to pick a side and you path to the first generator area. And if you get lucky, along the way you will be able to find the soul core. If you are not, it's fine. We are going to the generator, and you kind of have to look around to see if there's any medium soul core near the area. Usually they spawn near the area, but if you don't find them, that's okay too. We are going to start heading over to the other generator. Because this zone was such a huge waste of time before, I believe in the latest patch, GGG actually give us more medium soul core in the zone. So for example, in here you will find that I actually got lucky, and I found 1 medium soul core right here. And in a few more steps, I'll be able to find my second medium soul core, which is good. But this means that you cannot respawn a checkpoint anymore, because I believe when you respawn a checkpoint, you are going to drop both of your medium soul core, and you have to find them again. Just to be safe, I will use my first soul core over here, and I will actually walk all the way back to the other generator to use my second medium soul core. After that, just go back to the boss, and this is another tank and spank fight. You can tank all the boss ability without much issues. After killing the boss, we are going to pick up the large soul core, and then we are going to take the waystone all the way back to the infested baron. It is pretty important to take the waystone so you don't have to waste time going back to town and walk all the way back up. Now that you are here, going to put in the large soul core, and we are moving to the next zone, which is Madland Waterway, my favorite area in Act 3. As a matter of fact, this zone is very straightforward. All you need to do is pull about 50 levers and go straight in a linear way all the way into the end of the zone. Because I like this so much, there's not much I'm going to say about this zone, but go all the way until the end, and you are going to pull the big lever. Before pulling the lever, you want to use a town portal. That way, when you finish pulling the lever, just spam click the portal so you don't get stuck in the minimaps, and it's going to save you a few seconds. Once you're back in town, go down all the way to the stair and we will enter the next area. The Drowned City is usually pretty easy to navigate because it have a fixed layout. I believe this was fixed recently by GGG, so the layout's actually random, or maybe it's a different layout now. It's different from what I remember, so again, I'm not sure why they are doing this, but it just adds more time to your campaign and it's quite annoying. But try your best to navigate, go all the way right, and then head straight up. And so the normal campaign here is actually the same layout, except this upper part where you're supposed to go right side and head up to head to the apex of filth. But this is not the same case here, and I just basically waste like 5 minutes trying to find the new layout because I don't know this layout, and it's very frustrating to me as well. Apex of Filth is another area was changed affected by the latest patch, and it's not as annoying because I think it's kind of fixed. We are going to, instead of like going up and curve all the way around, we are now going to head straight up and into a corner, which you will find the mini boss in this area. I'm not really sure on the layout 100%, so I'm not going to commentate too much on the layout. But the boss of this area is actually quite rippy. I think it is a bad idea to face tank everything, so just try your best to dodge some of the ability and don't stand on the ability that she put on the ground. Obviously, just ignore my advice here. I'm trying to limit test, and this was a deadless run, so I didn't have to do a lot of close call. After the fight, just take the checkpoint and go all the way back to Drowned City, where you will take the checkpoint again and going to back to the Ziggurat encampment. This is probably better if you have a faster loading screen. So depends on your PC. You want to use the town portal or use the checkpoint. It's entirely up to you. Temple of Kopek is like a triangle area where the entry is in the middle. In the first floor, you can find the exits right on the left or the right side of the entry. Sometimes if you get really unlucky, it is going to be the opposite side of the left and the right, so it's the third entry. But most of the time it is going to be one of the two corners, so if you go to the corner and you don't find it, you take the checkpoint back. I believe that it used to be 100% that the door is like right next to the entry, but right now after the change I think it's random. So in this case, my instinct is telling me to go up to the other corner, so that's what I'm doing. And I believe the entry is actually there, so I don't know anymore. GGG is just trying to slow us down in the campaign by changing all the layouts. At least the layout on the second floor is going to be pretty consistent. If you're heading to the left side or the right side from the entry and there is no crack to leap over, it is most likely the wrong door. I just want to make sure that I am thinking correctly. But yeah, you can see that I leap over a crack here, which means that the door is 90%, 99% should be over here, and you can go here to fight the boss next. This boss is one of the few boss in the campaign that can one-shot you or maybe 50-shot you. He summons a bunch of the fire projectiles. Make sure that you dodge them. If you can stun the boss before that, you should be fine. But if you're not, you want to dodge them, because if you get hit by all of them, you are going to instantly die. When you summon over, invest the platform, you create a portal. Whenever she say the line wait, you can click the portal, go up, and that will save you a few seconds as well. This is one of the last few times that you'll be in town, so if you need to upgrade your flask, make sure that you check the shop. Otherwise, we are going to enter the portal, enter the gateway, go back to the pass, and you want to head straight down these stairs. If you want to go a little bit faster, you can take off your body armor. It is one out of like million things you can do to min-max your run, and I just kind of do it when I feel like doing it. So in this area, the only advice I have for you is try your best to follow the road. The layout was briefly changed as well. I think maybe I got one of the bad layout, but you are trying your best to head to the right side and you go until you find a dock, and then you can head up from the dock and you will be able to find the Viper. If you do get stuck around or feel discouraged, it's a pretty good area to farm EXP as well. By this time, I get to level 40 just before I fight the Viper, which is a pretty good level to be in my opinion. But yeah, I was really put off by the layout change and all that thing, so I did end up fighting the Viper a lot later than expected. The fight itself is going to be pretty easy. By the time you hit level 40, you also get access to the new flask as well if you're having trouble with this boss fight. If you take the antidote charm, you are not going to have a lot of trouble. For the first rotation of the boss, make sure you parry the last slam, just like that, so you don't leave any puddle on the ground, so you can continue to attack the boss. Always parry the last attack of that combo. It is very easy to parry, and then you just finish the fight without much issues. And we are heading to the next area as well. Again, all these layouts change, so just for this particular run, I have no idea where am I going, so just do what your instinct tell you, just follow the roads. Heading into Algorat at level 40 is a pretty good level in my experience. You want to finish the Act 3 campaign, especially in a Twink leveling guide. You want to do it in roughly level 41 to fight the boss. It is a pretty good level. Later on, you will have more zone to catch up in EXP in the Act 4, which is Act 1 crew, which I'll go through. The layout also get flipped around here, so I did get put off by a little bit, which means that more EXP farming for me. And I need to clear the monster anyway, because you want to get the sacrificial heart to drop in here, so you can get your 2 passive points. But yeah, just go around, farm stuff, get your level, get your sacrificial heart, and go sacrifice that, and then you can head to the last boss. You can also respawn a checkpoint here to save yourself a few seconds as well. And yeah, just follow the passive skill trees. I got quite unlucky, so I got all the way to level 43 before I find the sacrificial heart, but then after that, head to the Black Chamber and we will fight Doryani. Another pretty simple fight in my opinions. Even if your damage fall off a little bit by this point, you should do enough damage to finish him in roughly 1 or 2 minutes, depending on your gear. And again, this is when I'm not having inspiring allies, so I'm missing like 200% increased damage almost. So there you are. Just if you're having problem with this fight, you must be doing something wrong that I'm not sure about. You can do this on any class. The last time I did this, I do it on the Witch, which arguably the weakest class that you can do this on, because you have to path all the way from the source and Witch starting area. But yeah, this is meant to be class agnostic. It is strong on all the class. You can see that I just stand in the middle here and DPSing the boss down, tanking all the damage without much issues. Once you are done with the boss fight, we are going to take the portal. You don't have to talk to the boss, save a lot of time. Go to the gateway, and then we'll head to the riverbank of Act 4. Because Act 4 to Act 6 is just a repeat of Act 1 to Act 3, I am going to skip around a lot because we don't really have to go through the layout again, which means that from now on, I will only highlight the important stuff that you need to do in this act. And starting from Act 4, you will start seeing the Rope Exile as well. Make sure you do them. They do give a lot of experience as well, and they don't take a lot of time. I'm going to skip ahead to the Red Vale area, which is one of the very important area because this is where you are going to catch up in your level. Each time that you click on one of these obelisk rusks, we are going to summon a tons of magic monster, and they give a lot of EXP. Because I kind of messed up here, I actually kill everything, but we have 3 of them. So make sure that you don't kill everything on the first or even second one. If you accidentally kill them, there's no way to go back to the quest line and summon the monster again. So here I am looking for the second obelisk. We are going to farm this area all the way until level 45 or even 46 if you want to. The monster level is level 47, so it is possible for you to farm all the way to 46. I think 45 is a pretty good breakpoint. Just make sure that you don't kill all the monster and you click respawn a checkpoint. Each time you click this, finish like 80% of the monster that spawn. This is one of the best area to farm and catch up in EXP in most of Act 1. And for the rest of Act 1, you don't really want to farm EXP, you just want to speed through the rest of the Act 1 all the way until the last boss. On the second visit to the hunting ground, you don't have to go into Phraethon anymore. That area did not give you the spirit, so just go straight to the Crawbell to get your 2 passive points, and then you can head straight to the offhand farmland. I'm going to skip all the way to the end boss. Here I am at the boss, and here are my stats. I am almost 600 strength. I am level 47, fighting a level 51 boss. And this is the normal speed, so you can kind of see the damage that I'm doing to the boss. Absolutely not falling off at all. And I still don't have to take Inspiring Ally yet. In my opinion, if I have taken Inspiring Ally, the speed I would have saved maybe 10 minutes at most, because damage is not usually the problem. The problem is going through all those zone walking around that takes a lot of time, which this build definitely solved by having the Wreck and Parry combo to move, because you move extremely fast through the zone anyway. So in here, I pushed the boss to the second phase, and I believe I skipped intermission here. We have a lot of the stun build up from the skill set that we have, and we can tank maybe 1 or 2 ability of the boss. I recommend you to not tank the ability if you're playing on hardcore, but we do have the capability to tank them. Like you can see here, I try to dodge most of the boss skill, but we should be able to take down this boss without much issues. And I'm going to skip ahead like 40 minutes over here. When you get to level 52, equip the last upgrade to the build, which is going to be the amulet and the ring. We want to have strength and all attributes. That way we can get as much strength as we can on the build. And I'm going to do another time skip to the Dreadnought area, which is where I want to respec and put point into Inspiring Ally. The purpose was to showcase that this build should not have any problem. Even without Inspiring Ally and without a lot of damage, it would still take you all the way pretty smoothly through all the first 4 acts. This by now is going to give us at least 200% increased damage, so it's going to be great. Using the same trick that we level in Act 2 of the normal campaign, we are going to keep resetting, and we are doing this until we hit level 55, which by then you can go ahead and fight the last boss of Act 5. I'm going to put this in normal speed as well, so you can kind of see the damage that we can do at this level. We should be extremely strong as well with the Inspiring Ally, which you should have from Act 2. If you can actually get the Topaz Charm to reduce the lightning damage taken, it's going to help you tank the fight a little bit better. You can kind of see how I almost die here. And again, I was limit testing as well, but yeah, cannot skip the phase, we don't have enough damage. Another thing you have to remember is that the campaign boss was actually buff as well. And at this point, if this leveling build takes you to level 52, 55 without much issues, you can actually do some respec into your endgame build as well, because a lot of these skill gems will be available at this level. If you choose to go ahead with this build until the end of the campaign, you just need to invest in some cheap jewels and rings, amulets that give you tons of strength. And that should be able to take you all the way to Act 6 and clear the content without much issues. So yeah, this is going to be the last boss of Act 5. In a sense, I would say this boss is a bit harder than Doryani, just because I feel like this boss is a bit more tanky and he do a bit more damage. But yeah, let me go ahead and skip all the way to the last boss of Act 6, just because we don't want to go through the layout again and everything is the same. So yeah, in this fight, also pretty easy. I have a trouble with layout, so basically I am level 60 at this point and I have 833 strength. When I was doing this on my witch, I was level 58 with roughly 720 strength, so it doesn't really matter too much. I would definitely say that Mercenary is stronger than the Witch, just because we have easier access to all those strength nodes. So you would have an easier time getting to plus 800 strength. So you can kind of see that we do a lot of damage to Doryani, and you definitely don't want to tank a lot of his stuff. But if you do tank a few hits, it shouldn't be a problem. We are level 60, we have 2500 HP at this point, which is extremely high because we are strength stacking. And just make sure that when you're trying to do the damage, you are standing next to your companion, so you have the physical damage aura up. There are a few ways to improve the single target damage with the Bloodhound mark and a few things that you can do, but in my opinion, the strongest part about this build is not the single target damage, it is the mobility and the tankiness of being a strength stacker, so you would not have any problem or issue at all even if you are a beginner player. So yeah, this was the run. It was less than 5 hours, and the play time is 4 hours and 35 minutes. I've died 0 times. This was not a 100% run. I still have a few things to do in the campaigns, like finishing the Venom Vials and getting the spirits. But yeah, this is my gear. This is my passive skill trees. Again, doesn't need to be the strongest single target damage build out there. It has the best mobility, which is why it is one of the best leveling build at this point. You can go through the campaign in under 5 hours, which is amazing. And you can pretty much do this on any class or ascendancies. So yeah, I hope this video has been useful for you guys. I am going to use the same build to level all my alt characters or the class that I want to play. If you have any questions or if you have any comments, you can feel free to leave them down in the comment section of this video. But with that being said, thank you so much for watching, guys. Hopefully this was helpful, and I will see you in the next one.